Hi, Forster fans. I'm Paityn Tabor on the Coaches Show with Coach Kat, where we sit down each week and talk about last week's game and the upcoming one. This week we talked about last week's game against Wisconsin Lutheran and the upcoming matchup against Lawrence. Stay tuned. Hi, Coach. Congratulations on the win last weekend. That's so exciting.
Thanks. Always good to start the season off with a W.
Yeah, absolutely. So, the first game of the season always presents a lot of different problems and struggles, but what did you learn about your team this past weekend? What did you like, and what are you looking to improve on for this weekend?
Yeah, I thought the things we saw that were really good. We had a lot of energy, a lot of emotion. It was exactly what we wanted to be in that area. Probably a little bit too much early on, and I think early in the game we found ourselves trying to press a little too hard to make the big play on like the first two plays of the game or something like that. You know what I mean? So I think that we kind of stubbed our toe a little bit. But we ended up having the lead at halftime, which is something we didn't do against them last year. And then the second half, we really started clicking on both offense and defense. I mean, our defense gives up a touchdown the first drive and then doesn't give any points the rest of the game. Offensively, we struggled to get out of the gate a little bit, and then we really rolled after that.
Speaking about that struggle sort of right out of the gate, Wisconsin Lutheran came out really fast, and they scored the first points of the game on their first possession. But your defense managed to hold them to 184 yards the rest of the game. So what types of adjustments did you make after that happened?
Yeah, I think what's kind of interesting is they were different than they were a year ago on offense, and they were doing some things that we weren't anticipating them to do. Using what we call an insert back with a fullback type deal, and they were doing some things there that we weren't ready for. And they had a really athletic quarterback who made a couple plays with his legs, and I think once our guys on the field got caught up to that game speed, and our coaches made the adjustments necessary in terms of where we fit gaps. After that, it was really, we were pretty confident what we were doing. And I think, again, that first series, just like anybody, you can try to do some different things and try to surprise people. I mean, they went for an onside kick to start the game, and then their second, you're like, okay, they did that. And then the second time they came out, they did another onside kick. And we're like, okay, this is the answer to AJ kick returner, right? Like, it's like, here come the onside kicks. And so I think that our team did a good job of handling some of those unexpected surprises. And, they really settled in on defense after that.
Yeah. Going into your first conference matchup this weekend against Lawrence, who hasn't played a game yet, what advantages do you feel that you and your guys have after already having one game under your belt?
That game speed. I mean, the first hit in the game is so different than anything we do in practice anymore. Back in the day, we used to scrimmage live in practices and do things like that, and nobody really does that anymore to protect the players. And I think that game speed will help us early, just like we were in the first game trying to get up to game speed. They're going to have that experience now, but we were there. I also think that, most teams, the old cliches, they make their biggest jump from week 1 to week 2 in improvement. And so we should see a lot of those improvements. We've seen them in practice this week already, a little bit of an understanding of where routes fit, where the coverage rotations can get to, and I think that'll help us in that second game.
Obviously, the energy at Farwell Field was electric last weekend, and I'm sure your team was really able to feed off of that. But now going into your first road test, how do you prepare your guys for that same type of atmosphere, but now the cheering is going to be going against them?
Yeah, I think that one of the things that was really, we had a great crowd for Heroes Day for the home opener. It was really, really fun. I think what you'll see in this second game, hopefully, is our players create that juice, create that momentum. Our sideline's always been pretty electric, and so I think that if we can bring that to a visiting field, it can carry us that way. But the other part is that emotional level comes from intrinsic motivation, and I think that's what we always want to see with the top players, is that they don't need the crowd to be successful. They're playing for their teammates, and if they can bring that in there, it'll be great. If they get talked trash to by an opposing team, which I'm sure will happen, they have a way to handle that. Like we practice that, we talk about it, and so I think our players would tell you a joke about it more likely than not. But we have a response to that, and I think that we'll be pretty good with that.
Coach, let's preview Lawrence. They struggled a little bit last year, but as you know, a good recruiting class can really change the tide for a team. So are there any players that you and your guys must keep in check this weekend?
Yeah, and they are a team that brought in a great recruiting class. They got 26 freshmen they're playing, and very familiar with a couple of the guys that they brought in. They're going to have a new quarterback, so that'll be, we'll have to feel out what type of quarterback he is. We didn't get to see him last year. But their record is not indicative of the team that they were. Their record is they were the team that scored the most points on us in conference play last year. Even though we won, they scored 26 points on us. Nobody else in the conference did that. They got a special teams touchdown against us, which almost never happens. And so for us, there's a lot that we have to be prepared for. Coach Aker does a great job getting his guys motivated. He's a high energy coach. His team follows, they believe. Coach Paityn, their defensive coordinator, I've known him for a very long time, and he does a great job, getting that defensive scheme ready. So I think whether it's individual players or just their collective whole, I think they're going to have a really strong collective whole. They got a couple guys in the secondary that we saw last year. Both their cornerbacks are back. On the offensive line, they got a couple of starters returning, and I just think that it's going to be a really good challenge. I think that the record last year is so misleading, though. I mean, they played Illinois College, who was a top half of the team last year, 38-37, and IC had to score twice in the fourth quarter to win. So I think that anybody that looks at last year, just like I tell all of our guys, our wins last year didn't matter, is going to make a mistake.
Yeah, so what will it take for your team to secure its first conference victory this weekend then?
Starting faster than we did last week, and then playing the full 60 minutes. I mean, it's cliche. I hate it. It's coachisms. But we really have to start off better. We have to establish the run game, and then we have to play the full 60 minutes. We can't have lulls in the middle or at the beginning or at the end that allow a team to build their confidence against us, and I think that's the goal for our team every week.
Yeah, well, that's all I had for you today, Coach. So thanks for chatting with me, and I look forward to talking with you next week after another Forester victory.
Thanks, Pete.
Go Foresters!